Yes Relayer was released on November 29th, 1974. It only has 3 songs, and it's about 40 minutes long, produced by Yes and Eddie Oford. The Wikipedia article says that Pat Moraz wished Eddie Oford wasn't so stoned all the time. I don't know why, because it's almost a perfect representation of an album. It's prog rock and jazz fusion, and just a little background. Rick Wakeman quit the band after Tales from Topographic Oceans, so this is the only studio album that Pat Moraz is the keyboardist on. The rest of the band is intact. It's Anderson Squire, Alan White, and Steve Howe, of course, is the guitarist. And it's this is it's prog rock. It's the jazziest of all the Yes albums. By the way, Moraz is also on some select songs on Yes Songs. Yes Shows is what it's called. Yes Songs is the older one. Okay, anyway, it's a balanced sound. It is very jazz fusion inspired, but a balanced sound. Perfect rhythm section between Alan White and Chris Squire, and perfect overdriven guitar by Stephen Howe. And actually, by Steve Howe, it's there's acoustic guitar, steel guitar, overdriven guitar, electric guitar, everything. It's perfect. I mean, it sounds enormous, and perfect synth and key sounds coming from Pat Moraz. I think he used a bunch of different synths. Definitely a Moog is credited, and I don't know if there's Mellotron sounds or not, but it sounds like stringy type passages and movements. And of course, the perfect album cover by Roger Dean. And if you fold it out, it's like you got the 2 snakes here. Am I doing a good job? Yeah, that's pretty good. You got the 2 snakes here. You got the knights on the horses. And I was reading, Roger Dean said it was inspired by Lord of the Rings and Knights of the Templar type stuff, based on the music that, as he heard it, that's what he was inspired by. And for this review, I've got the book, of course, and all 3 of these songs are in the book, although missing passages like the battle scene. But they all say, they're all credited to all 5 members of the band, Anderson, Howe, Moraz, Squire, and White, even though, definitely Gates of Delirium, he says in Yes Years, was written by John Anderson. And I've read that To Be Over was written by Steve Howe. So, but the way they shared credit, because I think back in the publishing days, that's how they would get compensated. So, this album I bought in my initial Yes stage. So I've had the CD forever. Here's what the CD looks like. It's a black, I don't know what that design is. I always wondered I don't know what that is. But it's just a cool, here's the back cover of Relayer. I guess that back cover is what's on the CD, right? See that outline there? But just a really good, Roger Dean did this. And there's a good picture of the band on the back. Oh. Well, anyway, yeah, let's get right into it. The first track is Gates of Delirium. It's 21 minutes and 55 seconds. It's in the key of D major until Soon, which is the ending. It switches to key of C major for Soon, and it starts at 105 beats per minute, and it settles into a real fast beat. Soon, it slows down at 78 beats per minute. It's really much slower than the rest of the song. It's in 4/4 time, but it's all over the place. There's some 3/4 and 6/8 time mixed in. Soon is mainly in 4/4 time. The introduction to the Gates of Delirium is long. It's one of the best intros you'll ever hear to a song ever. It's 47 measures long in the book, and it does a do da do do do. It does that whole thing. It's 2 minutes and 12 seconds for the introduction. The verse part of the song, stand and fight, we do consider reminded of an inner pact between us that's seen as we go. Dun, 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 dun. It's 14 bars in the first and second verse, and it feels like, when you're listening to the music, it feels like you're riding on the horse. Like you're galloping, almost like a galloping feeling. The bridge, choose and renounce, throwing chains to the floor, kill or be killing, faster sins correct the flow. It's 17 bar bridge. There's a little instrumental that takes place after the bridge. It runs from 3 minutes and 20 seconds to 3 minutes and 42 seconds. It's 18 bars. It's the whole dot, 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 dot. It sounds like video game music, really. At least to me, it does. It's 18 bars in that compact instrumental section, but it's only like 20. What is it, about 22 seconds long? And then the verse, the third verse of the song is different from the first two verses. Wars that shout and screams of anguish, power bent, spent passion bespoils our soul receiver. Surely we know. 16 bars. In glory. Da 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 da. That's the second bridge. And then after that bridge, there's a segue of 36 bars. It runs from 4 minutes and 31 seconds to 5 minutes and 46 seconds. Again, it's the whole video game music thing. I don't know, almost like Sonic the Hedgehog or something, but and then it falls into the bum 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 bum. It does that whole thing, and that whole segue is it's a 1 minute and 15-second jam from 4:31 to 5:46. So it's like they took that first jam and just expanded it out. Verses 4 and 5 are different from the first three verses. It's 48 bars total for verse 4 and 5. I just think of it as one long verse. But that's the whole listen, should we fight forever? That starts at 5:46 and ends at 6:46. And these two verses help you prepare for the battle sequence. Now, after those verses, the pre-battle runs from 6:46 to 7:31 before the second bridge. And this is the whole the fist will run, crash metal the gun. Da, 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 da. That's the best line on the album. And this is an album that has many great lines. But to me, whenever I hear that part, that's like the get ready, get ready because the war is coming. The battle scene it runs from 8:04 to 15:13, and it's basically the way John Anderson constructed this with a band. It's basically the synth versus the guitar, okay? And they just trade the synth goes and then, it kind of does that, and Moraz plays with it a little bit, and then the guitar comes in, da 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 da, and then at 10:22 it changes, bum ba dum dum da dum dum bum 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 da 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 dum, and then at 11 minutes and 43 seconds the battle is just complete chaos. At 12 minutes and 7 seconds there's this high synth, ba-dum da-da, ba-dum da-da. And then at 12:52, the ending of the battle starts. That dot 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 da 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 da. And that's to me that's always it's like a key moment of the song. At 14:04, that's my favorite steel guitar part from Steve Howe. That he goes into that whole thing. And then at 15 minutes, the song winds down to Soon. And it's like a real airy, keyboard type scene. I don't know how else to describe it. Soon starts, the key change to Soon is to C major. And right around 15 minutes and 13 seconds, right around there, 16:09 for sure it's Soon. So if you're listening to this and watching the ticker, there's definitely transition moments in the song. Maybe at 15:13 still the end of the battle part, but then at 16:09 you're definitely into Soon, okay? And Soon, if you don't know, they've cut it into it's a single edit, but on this album it's one long track, The Gates of Delirium. It doesn't even mention Soon on here. It's just, but that's just what we call it, right? The verse to Soon is, soon, oh soon, the light, pass within and soothe this endless night. It's an 8-bar verse. And then the bridge part of the song is, long ago, set into rhyme. And John, it's John in his best singing voice, really. John Anderson is just, perfect. The bridge is 6 bars with the music at the end. It does that. The outro it's some great steel guitar by Steve Howe and some synth. This is where I think it could be. I don't know if it's a Mellotron or not. It's not in the credits, but it could be like it does sound like stringy. But I know Mellotron is really just a brand, so who knows what it is. Anyway, the Gates of Delirium, 22 minutes, did I say? Yeah, 21 minutes and 55 seconds. The song structure is verse, bridge, the video game instrumental, the first short part, and then verse, bridge, then the longer segue, which is the longer video game part, and then verse, bridge, the battle, and then soon. And soon ends verse, bridge, verse. And that's the Gates of Delirium. As good as a song as there is, really. Now, the second track is Sound Chaser. It's 9 minutes and 25 seconds. This is the most jazzy song in the catalog for Yes, along with The Ancient, which is the third. It's the third track on Tales, but it's a different kind of jazzy than The Ancient, where The Ancient is a lot of like noodling and goofing around. This is like strong, structurally arranged Sound Chaser. It's in the key of D, at least the intro is. F sharp major for a lot of it, and then E major, B flat, and G major. It's moderately tempoed at 146 beats per minute. Lots of time changes. The intro starts and runs to 1 minute and 13 seconds for Sound Chaser. It's like a drum solo, and it's in D major. It's in 5/4 time with a 5-bar pickup. I like the drumming. I like the whole thing. Kind of does that. Alan White's cool, and he doesn't get the respect that he deserves. At least I don't think so. I think he's just one of the coolest dudes around. And, well, I don't want to get into it. The verse is, faster moments spent spread tales of change within the sound. It's a 17-bar verse, and it's in F sharp. Most of it is in 5/4, but the look in your eyes part is a triplet in 2/4 time. So like, da 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 da. The second verse is in E major, about the same amount of bars with some additional phrases at the end. And then there's an instrumental break in the song. It runs from 2 minutes and 5 seconds to 5 minutes and 33 seconds. This is the Steve Howe guitar solo. I don't know the key because it's not in the book, but at 3 minutes and 2 seconds is just an amazing guitar solo. The whole, it does that whole thing from Steve Howe. The bridge starts at 5 minutes and 36 seconds. From the moment I reached out to hold, I felt a sound, and what touches our soul slowly moves as touch rebounds. That is in B flat major in 4/4 time for 18 bars. That's the bridge. And then there's an instrumental break after that. It runs from 6 minutes and 12 seconds to 7 minutes and 37 seconds. There's a lot going on in the instrumental. It's just magnificent for over a minute. The cha-cha-cha part is in G major in 5/4 time for 12 bars in D. And then after that is the intermission break. It runs from 7 minutes and 46 seconds to 9 minutes and 3 seconds. This is the vehicle for the synthesizer solo, which I've read is a Moog. It's Patrick Moraz on a Moog. And it's both fast and soaring. And the bass and drum line during the part is extraordinary. I wish you could listen to that on a loop, honestly. The outro, cha-cha-cha, cha-cha, cha-cha-cha, cha-cha part, I think it's the same as the last time, but I don't know. Is it in 5/4 or 12 bars in D? It starts at 9:05, and it's a quick ending. It's like an abrupt ending to the song. So 20 seconds outro. The song structure for for Sound Chaser is intro, verse, solo, bridge, break, the cha-cha-cha part, then the synth solo, then the final outro or coda. Sound Chaser. The third and final track on Relayer is called To Be Over. It's 9 minutes and 8 seconds. This is the slow song. And it has excellent slide guitar, great slide guitar work. I think it's sitar at the beginning. It's a Indian instrument like George Harrison used to play. And the intro runs to 1 minute and 50 seconds. And it's in the key of E major, D major, F sharp minor. There's three sharps in the key signature. And then a C sharp minor is the minor key of E major. So where it starts in E major, it flips at the end. Okay, it's a fast tempo. It's most of it is in 4/4 time actually, and almost the entire song is. I like to think of To Be Over in two parts. There's like the first half and the second half. The first half has that intro, and then it goes into the first verse. We go sailing down the calming streams, drifting endlessly by the bridge. It's John in the lead, but you can definitely hear Chris singing, and probably Steve singing too. Maybe even Alan. Alan does some. He sings sometimes, but it's a 20-bar verse in E major. The second verse, "Do not suffer through the game of chance that plays." They kind of sing this. It's played slowly. It's sung slowly. Do not suffer. It's 20 bars in E major also. And then after that, there's an interlude, which is a guitar solo. The key switches to D major. So you're going down a key. It runs from 3:09 to 5 minutes and 30 seconds. It sounds like slide guitar. And at 3:49, the electric guitar begins. The whole... At 5 minutes and 10 seconds is one of my favorite Steve Howe parts right before the next part. It reminds me of the end of Awaken. And if you don't know what I'm talking about, just fast forward to 5:10 and listen to what's happening, okay? The second part of the song starts with the third verse. John's in the lead and he's singing Childlike Soul Dreamer, that whole part. That's in F sharp minor, and it's 23 bars in 3/4 time. And then the fourth verse, carrying closer, one journey, that whole part. It's 23 bars in F sharp minor, mostly in 3/4 time, but not all of it. After that's the break. The break runs from 6 minutes and 33 seconds to 7:17. This is mainly a synth solo or a lead. And then after that is the bridge. After all, your soul will still surrender. After all, no doubt your part, be ready to be loved. That's C sharp minor, 12 bars in mostly 4/4 time. That's a cool part of the song because it sets you up for the outro, the ending part. And the lyrics go, no sum delay, sadhu ra, sadhu lay, 48 bars, at least in the sheet music it is. I never even noticed the chanting that whole new psalm delay until last week when last weekend I started listening to this closely to deconstruct, to do the analysis behind all the songs. I had never even noticed the chanting before. I didn't know it was there. I was always just locked into Steve's sitar and the synth line that's going on during the chanting of the outro. Okay? That's my big confession. I've been listening to this for 30 years. The first half of the song is verse, interlude, guitar solo. And then the second half of the song is verse, break, bridge, outro. And that's To Be Over. What an album cover. Yes, Relayer. It went to gold in the USA right away, December 18th, so not even a month. About a month later. And it went to gold in France also. It's number 47 album in 1974, number 11 overall for Yes. Behind Tales. Tales actually sold better. I'm guessing that the fans were like, oh, they did Tales. I didn't love it, so I'm not gonna buy Relayer. But they didn't know what was coming, right? There's at least 620,000 sales in between France, Japan, and USA. This is according to bestsellingalbums.org. I'm not sure why UK isn't reporting. The sales went to number 4 in the UK and number 5 in the USA and number 9 in France. It's still it's still a top 10 seller. I mean, not sure why it didn't outperform Tales, but ProgArchives.com gives it a 4.38 user rating, which is categorized as essential, a masterpiece of progressive rock. And it's in the top 100. It's in the top 20. I should have made note of where it is. So because I neglected to look it up, I just stopped and checked. ProgArchives.com Relayer is number 19 in the top 100. I mean, that's how awesome it is. AllMusic.com William Ruhlman says, quote, music organized into suites that alternated abrasive, rhythmically dense instrumental sections featuring solos for the various instruments with delicate vocal and choral sections, featuring poetic lyrics devoted to spiritual imagery. Such compositions seem intended to provide an interesting musical landscape over which the listener might travel. 3 stars. I mean, can you believe that? 3 stars. Rolling Stone Ken Barnes, quote, pretentious balderdash, and despite occasional enjoyable interludes, is an excessive, pretentious, and ill-conceived album. That's in Rolling Stone number 189, June 19th, 1975. Yeah, I guess Rolling Stone missed they didn't get the point. The new Rolling Stone album guide 2004 gave it 4 stars by somebody named Ken Brackett. To me, this is either the best or the second best Yes album. I'll stand by Tales as number 1, and this is 1A. Some days it's my number 1. I think I had it number 1 when I did the Yes ranking, but I don't think that's quite right. Either way, it's terrific. If you haven't heard it, shame on you. Okay, that's it. That's Yes Relayer. What an album. What an amazing album. Next up on the channel, Physical Graffiti, and then Kiss Dress to Kill.